Hi class, I hope you guys are all doing well. This is my article review. I reviewed an article titled Development of Cognitive Maps by Individuals with Blindness Using Multisensory Application by Kokorokos and Papadopoulos. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but they're their names. The study was done in 2015. It was a study using audio haptic maps using a device called a Navant Falcon, which was ultimately developed for online 3D virtual game players so that they could navigate the world, touch, feel different textures, and to be able to explore using a more tactile environment so that they can feel what they were in rather than just look. It was a very new development. The researchers chose it because it is such a low-cost device, and they thought it was practical for this situation. The participants, there were 10 of them between the ages of 19 and 46. All of them were considered totally blind or only had light perception. All but one of them had some O&M training. One participant had at least 300 hours, and the rest had between 2 hours and 40 hours of O&M training. Most of them, really didn't have a lot of interactions and don't use tactile mapping, so this was all very new to them, and not one of them had ever used an audio haptic mapping technique or system. So ultimately this study was broken down into a couple phases. The participants were trained on how to use the device, and then they were put into what they considered phase 1, which was exploration. They got to explore, they got to explore just a map, and get familiar with the product, with the system, the talk aloud, all the audio, tactile information that they can get from the map. And they were given 10 minutes. In phase 2, they were given a different map, a much more complex map that had it had a lot of different, had multiple streets, tons of intersections, a lot more information. It was very complex. And for this one, they were given 30 minutes, but they could stop early. Their goal was to memorize the map and then be able to make it in a haptic map after the fact. So once they were completed with phase 2 and they felt comfortable with the map within that 30 minutes, they were able to stop and develop a tactile map of what they remembered. The study was shown to be pretty effective. My critiques of the study were the participants were put into a quiet room by themselves in a comfortable chair, and in reality, when you're out on the streets, you're not exactly comfortable, you're not in a quiet room, and there are lots of distractions. And so I felt like the study would have been much better if done out in the community, or with distractions, walking around, moving around, and still learning the map in that way. But also, the participants, they just had to develop a 2D map of what they had just experienced right afterwards with no distractions, and that doesn't feel very practical. I felt that if the participants were sent out into the community wherever the map was built and asked to describe what street they were on, what they were facing, do you remember what this landmark was? I felt like that would be more appropriate. And yeah, so that is my study. I hope you guys are all doing great. Bye.